Hello, fellow wargamers and history buffs. I just wanted to give a brief report about my time at the Consim EXPO in July of 2024. I had a chance to play several different games. I spent about 4 days playing Latai to Dresden with a number of friends of mine who are longtime Latai players. I was on the Allied side, and I was basically playing the Austrian army of Schwarzenberg. So I had the Austrian forces that were on the western side of the Weißritz, as well as all the Austrians that were sort of in the center on the eastern side of the Weißritz. My friend David Mignoret was playing the Russians and the Prussian forces over to the eastern side of the map. Opposite him was Warren Kingsley, who was playing the French. He had, I think, Ney and Mortier's Young Guard divisions, part of those two corps, as well as Saint-Cyr's corps. And then opposite me sat Rick White, who was playing Marat, Victor's corps, and Marmot's corps. Now, we played for about 4 days, and we were playing the fourth scenario, which is the one that takes place when it's raining cats and dogs. So artillery movement for the Allies is very slow. There's no musketry at all, so there's no infantry fire, or whether it's skirmishers or units in line or any other formation for that matter. So we were basically, if we did any sort of attacks with infantry, it was all assaults up and down the line, and then there was a fair amount of cavalry charges. With the French, we were anticipating that they were going to be attacking out on our wings, so we put ourselves in some pretty good defensive positions, or at least the best we could. And it must have worked because it was so intimidating that the French decided not to attack us there. Meanwhile, we were making attacks to try to capture one or more of the redoubts that are outside of the city of Dresden. And the Allies reacted to that, and they made an attack basically in the junction between where the Austrian army and the Prussian-Russian armies met. And this was gaining some steam. But part of the challenge was that they were using Saint-Cyr's corps as the spearhead for this effort, and Saint-Cyr's corps is mostly provisional troops, and a lot of them had suffered badly as a result of the previous day's fighting. So they kind of got ground to a halt pretty quickly, and then the Prussian and Russians came and made a counterattack. They have a lot of excellent forces, beautiful guard forces and everything else. And so they're able to push back the French there and start pushing into the Grossgarten. And that's kind of where we'd left things on that side of the map. Over towards the center and the western side of the map, the Austrians were holding fairly well. West of the Weißritz, there wasn't any worry that they were going to be pushed off that side of the map. And the attacks that were made towards redoubts 4 and 5 were fairly successful, so much so that the French had to bring in the Old Guard, set up a grand battery, bring a couple of divisions over from the western side of the Weißritz to blunt the Austrian attack, and eventually they ended up blowing a couple of the bridges, effectively cutting off the Austrians from reaching redoubt number 5. And with the Grand Battery and the Old Guard set up in front of redoubt number 4, the Austrians weren't going to make it. So after the end of 4 days of playing, plus we did some on and off play for the next couple of days after that, it was going to be, in all likelihood, just a draw. So a lot of fun, though. Had a good time with that particular game. Now, another game that I played was just for fun, Battlestar Galactica. This is a multiplayer game where you have a crew of folks that are playing the cast of the characters from the Battlestar Galactica show, the reboot, not the original one from the 80s. And so you're trying to figure out who's the human and who's the Cylon, and try to see if you can't make your escape and save the humans. I was not a Cylon. I played Gaius Baltar, my favorite character from the show. And unfortunately, the Cylons were able to get the better of us before we were able to make our escape. But a fun game. Anytime I can play it, I try to line up a game and get it in. It's a hoot. Another game that I played just for fun was Drive on Stalingrad. This is a decision game. My friend Keith Powell had been involved with the re-release or the second publication of this. I haven't played one of these types of World War II games in a while. So I was the Russians, which is good because I wouldn't have known what to do with the Germans since I was not up on the minutiae of the rules. But I did a credible job protecting Stalingrad. Stalingrad was not taken. However, the Germans were able to get enough of victory points to achieve a victory. But it did come down to the last turn and the last couple of die rolls, so that was a lot of fun. Now, another game that I spent about a day and a half, and I'm not going to say that I played it so much as I explored it with my friend Michael McAlpin, is the Eylau 1807 from Sound of Drums games. This particular one, we were using the most recent rules, version 1.3, that were available for download from Board Game Geek, and just had some difficulty trying to make our way through and figure out what they were trying to do with the rules and everything else. It was interesting. I do like some of the ideas and concepts with the game, and I'll have a more detailed review of it here in a separate video. But at least I had an enjoyable time exploring the game. Michael is a great guy and a very experienced war gamer, and so the two of us were able to still have an entertaining and fun time, even though we were in many cases frustrated by the rules and the general process of the game. Now, I had a really good time at Consim EXPO. It's one of my favorite conferences to go to, and I try to make it every time I can. It's great to see friends. A lot of guys I only get to see in person once a year. Of course, I'm playing with a number of them online, so that's cool to stay up to date. But it's always fun to get together, and you can sit down and have a beer and have dinner and stuff like that and catch up on life and whatnot. So that was a hoot. Always good to see lots of other games being played. This is one of the largest sort of collections of people playing big war games, and so kind of fun to see other games that people have on the table and kind of follow along with their progress. Plus, you get to meet new people and lots of people coming by checking out the different games that I was playing. Finally, I was honored to have been awarded the Star Performer for the conference, and so thank you to John Krantz for organizing the event. And as always, if any of you haven't been to Consim, I would encourage you to try to attend. It is a really excellent conference and well worth your time and trouble. So I'll have more detailed videos on some of the other games I played, but until our next episode, be well.